Well, let an evil lie, the way you say it, but I'll hide from the devil on judgment day. I say, I'm a fire riding moon man. I'm a fire riding moon man. I'm a fire moving down the line. Oh yeah. Well, me and the devil sat at a stoplight. He started rolling all us out of sight. I say, I'm a fire riding moon man. I'm a fire riding moon man. I'm a fire moving down the line. Oh yeah. Well, going pretty fast, looking behind. Here comes the devil doing 99. Saying, I'm a fire moving man. I'm a fire moving man. I'm a fire moving down the line. Let's drag now. Smart, the race was won. Here come the devil doing 100 more. Saying, I'm a fire move man. I'm a fire move man. I'm a fire moving down the line. Let's play it again. I was going pretty fast, looking behind. Here come the devil doing 99. Saying, I'm a fire move man. I'm a fire move man. I'm a fire moving down the line. Oh yeah. Well, I've let an evil lie. They say, but I'll hide from the devil on judgment day. Saying, I'm a fire move man. I'm a fire move man. I'm a fire moving down the line.
Dresses white, all set for sale. Little girl dreams of taking the wheel. Dresses white, all set for sale. A little girl dreams of taking the veil on beaches clear of sand and shell.
Ladies and gentlemen, your attention please. In the interest of your safety and enjoyment of today's events, please listen to the following message. According to New York State law, there is no smoking in the event center. For your safety, please note that fire exits are clearly marked by exit signs. Kindly take a moment to identify the location of the fire exit nearest you, keeping in mind that it may be behind you. In the event of an emergency, an alarm will sound and you should calmly and safely exit the building at that time. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, your attention please. In the interest of your safety and enjoyment of today's events, please listen to the following message. According to New York State law, there is no smoking in the event center. For your safety, please note that fire exits are clearly marked by exit signs. Kindly take a moment to identify the location of the fire exit nearest you, keeping in mind that it may be behind you. In the event of an emergency, an alarm will sound and you should calmly and safely exit the building at that time. Thank you.
Smiling was laughing. So I'll take it. Whatever. I'm very photogenic.
They really like him. But they switch as soon as you started playing, they moved away. As soon as he started playing, they were like, "Now let's go somewhere else." Yesterday, half the song was on Sabrina, and I kept watching.
I know. I was like, oh my god, please.
Like I said, I can tell how uncomfortable.
I know. I was like, so funny. He's like, stop.
I should just look directly at the camera.
Oh my god.
Ladies and gentlemen, your attention please. In the interest of your safety and enjoyment of today's events, please listen to the following message. According to New York State law, there is no smoking in the event center. For your safety, please note that fire exits are clearly marked by exit signs. Kindly take a moment to identify the location of the fire exit nearest you, keeping in mind that it may be behind you. In the event of an emergency, an alarm will sound and you should calmly and safely exit the building at that time. Thank you.
I like this so much shit.
Yeah, he was mad cold.
But I feel like he's also like hella old. Like, how old do you think he is? He's like a good amount old.
What do you think?
I am Grand Marshal Fernando Guzman, and I call to order the commencement of the Harper College of Arts and Sciences of the State University of New York at Binghamton. Everyone, please rise. Gentlemen, please remove your hats. We welcome you to join vocalist Lauren Nash Silverstein in singing the national anthem. Please be seated.
Harper, 17, you did it. As president of Binghamton University, it is my great pleasure to welcome you to the Harper College of Arts and Sciences ceremony. Congratulations. This is a special ceremony as we bring together our baccalaureate candidates for graduation, as well as their families and friends. Before we proceed with our program, I would like to welcome Catherine Grant Madigan, Chair of the Binghamton University Council, and Ryan Shepard, Student Representative of the Binghamton University Council, who are joining us today. I would also like to introduce our other special guests. They will stand as I call their names. Please hold your applause until all have been introduced. Donald Neiman, Provost and Executive Vice President for Academic Affairs. Brian Rose, Vice President for Student Affairs. Valerie Hampton, Chief Diversity Officer. Terrence Deek, Dean of the Harper College of Arts and Sciences. Curtis Kendrick, Dean, University Libraries. Gloria Meredith, Founding Dean of the School of Pharmacy and Pharmaceutical Sciences. Michael McGough, Senior Vice Provost and Chief Financial Officer. Pamela Mission, Platform Party Marshal, Faculty Advisor to the President. Gary Keibel, President of the Alumni Association. Amy Hyatt, Alumni Award recipient. Mary Jane Sager, Professional Staff Senate. And Nicholas Ferrara, Student Association President. Please join me in applauding these special guests. Let me also recognize all of the esteemed faculty members who have mentored and guided our graduates. Your efforts have been crucial to the intellectual growth and achievements we celebrate today. Will all faculty on the stage and in the audience rise? Please join me as we applaud their support of and dedication to the success of our students. I would also like to thank the Binghamton University Wind Symphony, our vocalist, and the Broome County Celtic Pipes and Drums for their participation in today's celebration. Again, welcome to our celebration of the Harper College of Arts and Sciences class of 2017. This is a joyous time for all of us. However, in a campus as large as our university, it happens that nearly every year there are students, staff, and faculty who have passed away over the course of the academic year. Our campus is a close-knit community, and we grieve the loss of our young and talented students and of our experienced and dedicated faculty and staff. Please join me in a moment of silence in remembrance of them. Thank you. Well, I'm now in my 5th year as president of this great institution. I guess I'm either a super senior or a first-year graduate student, but I've learned over these 5 years our commencement ceremony has become my favorite activity of the year. When I see the sense of pride that each of you has in this accomplishment, I can't help but reflect on my own experience when I received my diploma. What I remember was a tremendous sense of accomplishment as well as relief in completing a long and taxing job. I felt as if I had climbed a mountain and could now look out on a future filled with opportunities. This degree and the knowledge and talents that it represents will enable you to go far. You have proven that you have the broad perspectives to understand and to empathize, that you have the ability and the tenacity to work through difficult challenges, and that you have the vision and ingenuity to develop innovative solutions to our world's problems. As graduates, the possibilities open to you have increased exponentially. Yet, as my mother told me when I graduated many years ago, it's not the degree that's important, it's what you do with it that matters. So I'm excited to think about your future and what it holds for you and for our world. However, before you take the first steps into that future, I hope you'll take some time to savor your accomplishments and especially to reflect on what this means to your friends and to your family. Share your happiness with them. Introduce them to your professors. Take a last walk through the nature preserve and some photos on the Peace Quad. 10 or 20 years from now, when you reflect on your time at Binghamton, these are the people and places that will mean the most to you. And tonight, go to a good restaurant. Mom and Dad are paying, and enjoy a long meal in celebration. But most of all, be sure to tell everyone how much their support means to you. Give everyone a big hug, and before you go to sleep, be sure to think about all the great moments, the signposts that led up to today. Your future starts tomorrow. So today, let's relax and have fun. You've earned it. It's now my pleasure to introduce our provost, Donald Neiman.
Good afternoon, Harper. Is anybody out there? Good afternoon. That's better. This is a time to celebrate the accomplishments that you've had at Binghamton University, and you deserve a big round of applause for your success. It's my great pleasure to welcome you to commencement and to be among the first to congratulate you, members of the class of 2017. Congratulations. You are a remarkable group of students. At the time you applied to Binghamton University, you clearly demonstrated that you had the academic ability to succeed at one of the best universities in the United States. Yeah. And since you've arrived on our campus, Whether it's a freshman or a transfer student, you've not only shown that you're very bright, but you've demonstrated that you're hardworking, intellectually curious, and eager to make the most of what this great university has to offer. You've also shown that you have a sense of humor, like to have fun, and care about serving others. You embody the balance that makes Binghamton University such a wonderful place to work and to study. It has been a pleasure having you as our students. Congratulations on your many accomplishments, and I would ask that you stay in touch with us and keep us posted on the many, many accomplishments that lie in your future. Now, it's my great pleasure to introduce your Dean, Dean of Harper College, Terry Deek.
Thank you. I'm very happy to be here. Welcome to Commencement 2017. I just have to look out here and I see all these parents beaming with pride about what their daughters and sons have accomplished, and I just got to tell you that about a half hour ago, I got a text message from my wife who said our 9-year-old just had his first hit for the season. He got thrown out at first base, but that's okay because he brought in a run. So, yes. Perhaps a smaller accomplishment than what's going on here today, but I think we have to celebrate all the little moments, right? I think there's probably some lesson in there about taking a sacrifice or making a sacrifice so that for the greater good. So thank you. In all seriousness, I offer a warm welcome to all of the graduates and families and friends who are in attendance here today. It's delightful to see all of you coming out here to support our graduates. We come to celebrate your accomplishments in this austere moment of transition in your lives. Tomorrow will be a very different day than today, for sure. I also want to take a moment to thank the faculty and staff who work so tirelessly to support your education and who have worked really hard to make this event today. Many of these people are here to bear witness to your accomplishments, standing or sitting as the case may be, like a second family to celebrate your accomplishment. So thank you to the faculty, staff, and administration. I thought I'd start by just talking a little bit about what do you do with a degree from an arts and sciences environment, and what does it mean? I think this is a really important question that gets challenged frequently today. A little bit of history here. Harper College of Arts and Sciences was started in 1946 as Triple Cities College, which was originally affiliated with Syracuse University. Yes, Syracuse University. Then in 1950, it was incorporated into the State University, the newly founded State University of New York system as a liberal arts college, where it has remained since then. The college was built, of course, in the tradition of the liberal arts and sciences, which, broadly writ, means that our degree programs include curricular requirements from a wide range of disparate areas. Things from aesthetics all the way to biology, philosophy all the way to studio art. Though these seemingly disparate course requirements are sometimes perplexing to students. What are these gen eds and why do I have to take them? It's equally perplexing to our parents and sometimes our politicians, perhaps even some of our faculty. The intent of this rich and distributed curriculum across the arts and sciences is not simply to imbue knowledge. It's not simply to torture you. It's actually to promote understanding of the world and of your peers. In doing so, our goal is not just to educate students, but also to prepare our youth to become citizens of the world. And while we enjoy watching our graduates walk across the stage to acknowledge the blood, sweat, and tears they have put into earning their degrees, we are most proud of the accomplishments that are yet to come. We, in fact, have great hopes for what you will achieve over the next coming years. But there's a cautionary note in here somewhere where many of us internalize our degree programs or our majors as a part of our identity and use that as a definition for who we can become. The reality is that this should not be a constraint on who you become, but rather should be a permission slip for you to explore a wide range of possibilities for your career. This, in fact, is what I perceive to be the greatest gift of a bachelor's degree from Harper College of Arts and Sciences, that you are now prepared to thrive in lots of different areas and to be conversant among many topics. Indeed, many of our most accomplished alumni have elected into career paths that are completely unrelated to their undergraduate major. It's not uncommon to see biology majors who go on to careers in finance. It's not uncommon to see English majors who go on to be radio sports show hosts. These kinds of things, of course, we have many people who also do follow a fairly traditional path. One of our distinguished alumni who we'll honor here in a moment, Amy Hyatt, was a political science major and is now the U.S. ambassador to Palau, and I will look forward to hearing from her shortly. Regardless, my point is that your degree from Binghamton University can take you many different places, and that these are just some examples of the great things that you can achieve. So now, it's my distinct pleasure to introduce one of our Alumni Award recipients, Amy Hyatt. Amy graduated from Binghamton University in 1978 with a bachelor's degree in political science and history, and received her JD from Stanford University in 1981. She obtained a Master of Strategic Studies at the National Defense University, National War College in 2000. She's the United States Ambassador to the Republic of Palau, and I'm pleased to tell you that among the 100 or so flags that we have flying here today, we have the flag of Palau hanging in her honor. She traveled from the other side of the world to be here today for your special day. She's led an accomplished career defined by achievement and success throughout her 32 years in foreign service. Some highlights include serving as Deputy Chief of Mission in Charge in Helsinki, Finland, Consul General in Melbourne, Australia, and Management Counselor in Cairo, Egypt. She's had overseas postings in Korea, Thailand, the Philippines, Czech Republic, and Norway, and has held Washington assignments throughout her career. She has also served as diplomat in residence at Arizona State University. No matter how far away, Ambassador Hyatt has remained connected to Binghamton and our students. She's returned to campus over the years for speaking engagements with students and alumni, has attended homecoming, participated in Skype events, perhaps with some of you, and was the 2016 recipient of the Binghamton University Alumni Association Edward Weisband Distinguished Alumnus Award for Public Service. The flags here represent the nations of our students and hail from which our students hail, and we are proud to include the flag of Palau to represent Ambassador Hyatt. It's my honor to welcome you to the podium to present you the Harper College Distinguished Alumni Award. Amy, please join us. So, Amy, I'm going to turn the podium over to you, and it's all yours.
Oh, happy day. Class of 2017, you made it. Let's have another round of applause for all of you. I am very happy to be with you today. I look around campus, so much has changed since my friends and I attended here. Even the name has changed. It's much bigger, as you probably know, but some things remain the same. Binghamton still has the most wonderful professors, instructors, administrators, and staff. And I'll tell you what else has not changed. I see that Pegasus is still firmly attached to his perch. Your family and friends are here with you today, and they are very proud of you. You've worked hard to get to this point in your lives, but you've also been most fortunate. You were given the opportunity of a lifetime to study at one of the best universities in the world. And you have had the support of many people along the way, including, of course, your parents and other family members, professors, administrators, a huge network at the university. But you seized that opportunity and you succeeded. You have every right to be proud of your accomplishments. But remember also to be grateful to those who helped make this day possible. It may be a parent or a grandparent or a spouse who right now is quietly crying because of your success. You didn't do it alone. And as they say, to whom much is given, much is expected. So this is no time to sit on your laurels. This is really just the start of your launching. And while it's an exciting, stressful, pride-filled, and anxiety-provoking time, it is also a glorious moment of opportunity. You're something of a blank slate. How you decide to fill in the blanks will determine much about who you decide to become. Will you chart a path of least resistance? Will you become an adrenaline junkie, ready to go out and challenge yourself and challenge others? Will you follow a course that's been well followed and perhaps highly valued by others? These are questions that have no right or wrong answer. They're yours to resolve. Just be sure to examine the options. As Steve Jobs said, your time is limited. Don't waste it living someone else's life. And another piece of advice, don't be so sure you have all the answers right from the start. We know you're smart, we know you got here, but still, keep your mind open. You'll be confronted by unexpected opportunities along the way. If you're so sure you know where you're headed, you may be tempted to disregard opportunities that could be unexpected but wonderful. Some of the best things that have happened in my career were unplanned, and sometimes I chose them with reservations because it wasn't where I thought I was headed. But the unexpected nature of an opportunity can make it that much more rewarding in the end if you seize it. It's frankly been the story of my life. When I graduated from Binghamton, I went to law school because it seemed like a good idea, not because I had a burning desire to be a lawyer. I enjoyed practicing law. I was a trial attorney, but I didn't love it. Then I took the Foreign Service exam, kind of on a whim, and I decided to take a short sabbatical from my real life as a lawyer to try, maybe for 2 years, to be a Foreign Service officer, to be a diplomat. And I even asked my office to hold my place. I'd come back in 2 years. Except that I discovered this whim, the Foreign Service. I loved it. Instead of serving one overseas tour and returning to my real life, I continued from assignment to assignment. It's been 32 years. I can't imagine doing anything else with my life. I wouldn't want to. So what started out as a lark became my calling because I tried something unexpected. I'll tell you why the Foreign Service has been my calling. There are few jobs in the world that offer what the Foreign Service does, especially if you like to explore the world and you like to keep having new experiences. I think the Foreign Service career is about 3 main things. First of all, it's about embracing change and lifelong learning. If you think you're going to continue to learn a little bit after the university, let me tell you, this career is one where you never stop learning. I've served in 9 different countries, and every tour provided an opportunity to learn a new language, new cultures, new issues, new priorities for our country, new challenges. Let me tell you 2 stories that kind of capture this. My first assignment was Seoul, Korea. It was right about the time when the Olympics were coming to Seoul, and that was kind of exciting to be there when Seoul hosted the Olympics. But in those days, there weren't very many Korean women who were in professional positions. As part of my job, I had to help assist a U.S. congressional delegation that was visiting Korea. And they were invited to go to the president's house in Korea, a gisang house. And I was invited to go along because I was assisting. Each of the men in the U.S. delegation were assigned a female gisang who would help feed them with chopsticks and everything. And they looked at me, what do we do with her? So they decided I was going to be an honorary man for the day. So they assigned a female Gisang to feed me as well. Fast forward to today, and now I am the U.S. Ambassador to the Republic of Palau, where women have a very powerful role. It is a matrilineal society. That means all property, all family property is controlled by the women. Very different, yeah. That's right. But a very different experience from Korea to Palau. And that's why it's so interesting. You never stop learning, you never stop growing, you never stop understanding the world. The second big issue, the big concept about this career is about making a difference. Whether it's helping an American child who happens to be lost in a foreign city and not know where to do and living in the streets, and believe me, we find them, helping that person, or bearing witness to history in the making and perhaps being given opportunity to bend its arc. I was involved in the nuclear negotiations with North Korea back in the 1990s. Those negotiations were concluded successfully and capped the North Korean nuclear program for a decade. How many times do you get a chance to do something that meaningful in your career? I'll tell you another story about North Korea. I was part of a U.S. delegation of 3 that went to Pyongyang, that's the capital in North Korea, in the dead of winter to discuss the opening of a U.S. diplomatic presence in North Korea. One night, I sat freezing in my hotel room. If you know anything about North Korea, it is not a very successful economy, and so the hotel, there was only one hotel that foreigners were allowed to stay in, but it was cold. It was cold in the hotel. So as I was working, I went to the closet to look for slippers, and I said, where are the slippers that are always in Asian hotel rooms? There weren't any. But I said it out loud. 2 minutes later, knock, knock, knock on my door. Miraculously, a pair of slippers were delivered to me. They must have read my mind. After that, whatever I needed, I simply said, gosh, I could use another blanket. The third concept about this career, and I think most important, it's about representing America. When you meet people in remote corners of the world, you may be the only American they ever see. So how you conduct yourself will create an image for them forever, of all Americans. I carry that responsibility proudly, and so do my children who have grown up overseas and are also viewed as the American kids. As our former president said, when we reach folks in the forgotten corners of the world, they see the true face of America, our strength, our goodness, our diversity, our enduring power, and our ideals. So, I hope you will consider unexpected opportunities. Maybe it'll be the Foreign Service. I hope so. Maybe it'll be something you can't even imagine right now. But it may be really, really great. You'll have choices to make in the course of your long lives. You'll have challenges and opportunities, joys and heartache. Remember, even in life's darkest moments, there are likely to be others who will have it worse, who haven't had your opportunities, who have more reason to despair in that moment. But remember also, when you would least imagine, there are people who are watching you. People who admire you from afar. People who will take inspiration from what you are doing and will use your path as a guidepost for their own. As you make your choices in life, remember you carry on your shoulders those who will come after you. Guide yourself accordingly. Best of luck to all of you. Congratulations and Godspeed. Thank you.
Thank you, Amy, for your remarks. Wonderful stories. I'm pleased to introduce Gary Keibel, President of the Alumni Association Board. He would like to share congratulations on behalf of our Alumni Association.
Thank you, President Stenger, and congratulations to the class of 2017. I'd ask that everyone please rise as Lauren Nash Silberstein and the University Wind Symphony perform the Harper Alma Mater. Lyrics can be found in your commencement program on page 33. Please be seated. On behalf of the Binghamton University Alumni Association, it's my pleasure to congratulate you on your fantastic accomplishments. And to celebrate this very special moment, I'm pleased to give each and every one of you a free yet very valuable present today: lifetime membership in the Binghamton University Alumni Association. You're welcome. This is something truly valuable. You are now a member of an organization with over 127,000 members in all 50 states and over 100 countries. Your Alumni Association is one of the most important professional and social organizations you will ever join. Believe me, it's a hot ticket. We have almost 4,000 new members joining this weekend alone. I'm sure you've walked around campus at one point or another wearing a Binghamton sweatshirt or hat. As you move on from school today, I encourage you to continue to wear Binghamton on your sleeve. You are now an emissary and ambassador for Binghamton. Your success reflects on the school and other alumni, and the success of other alumni reflects on you. Among our many accomplished alumni are CEOs and senior management at leading corporations, leaders in the financial and legal industries, the most talented engineers, teachers, nurses, social workers, and professionals of all kinds, as well as media personalities, movie stars, and even a United States congressman. Does anyone here think they can accomplish something similar? Yeah. Okay. I look forward to the day when there's a poster on you on campus as accomplished alumni. So as you graduate today, I ask you to take 3 very important steps. Number 1, make sure that you are always digitally connected to Binghamton. Like us on our Facebook page, join our LinkedIn groups, follow us on Instagram and elsewhere, and visit the alumni page on the Binghamton University website to make sure your information is always up to date in our alumni directory, Be Connected. We can't find you for opportunities if you don't first find us. Number 2, don't be a stranger. The Alumni Association holds over 70 events around the country each year. Sign up, show up, and have some fun with your fellow alumni. And number 3, make new Binghamton connections. When you come across another Binghamton graduate, use that common bond as an opportunity to open a door. Tell older alumni how amazing campus looks. I'm giving the same message to all graduates this weekend. You and I are now connected forever, and I look forward to connecting with my new 4,000 best friends. You're a Bearcat for life, and I am honored to be in the same alumni association as you. Congratulations.
I'm back. Thank you, Gary. It's now my distinct pleasure to introduce Diana Barretts, the 2017 Harper College of Arts and Sciences commencement speaker. Diana is graduating today with a degree in psychology, my home department, I'm very pleased to say that, and minors in education and studio art. She's an exceptional student that has been an active member of the campus community in her time in Binghamton. She's served in a variety of roles in this public speaking lab, the Chabad Center for Jewish Student Life, Relay for Life, and worked as a program information liaison in the Graduate School of Education. Diana has also earned the honor of graduating summa cum laude. Please welcome to the podium, Diana Barretts.
Welcome, family, students, alumni, faculty, administrators, and friends. I would like to begin by asking everyone in the room to close your eyes. Imagine your perfect career. You feel happy, successful. Take a moment to truly place yourself in that situation. Open your eyes. Is what you imagine related to what you studied in college? Is it where you're currently employed? This exercise is not to make you regret. Rather, it is to help you move forward, to never sell yourself short, and to keep pushing for your dream, no matter where you are on life's journey. As a graduating senior, I am constantly asked what I'm going to do after Binghamton. Since a young age, this question of what do you want to be is continuously drilled at us. And yet still today, I do not have a clear answer. I cannot say I want to be a doctor or a lawyer, but I can say, does it really matter? When I arrived at Binghamton, I was undecided. This indecisiveness did not just reflect my major pursuits, but my goals, my guiding principles, and my career path of choice. I would walk into the Broom Hall Lounge every day with a new idea. My friends would laugh and say, "What is it today, Diana?" I went from a school psychologist to an event planner to an interior designer, and the list goes on. I felt stuck. Why did I like so many things? Why could I not make up my mind? As school continued, I got very involved in one organization. Here I planned programs, led events, and brainstormed new ideas. After all of my continuous involvements, I decided I would run for president. I invested all of my time and energy. And guess what? I lost. I was devastated and did not know what to do. While procrastinating on figuring out my life plans, my current passion fell through the cracks. I was angry at myself for not working hard enough. I regretted the decision to run, and I felt a sense of hopelessness. I could have given up. I could have said, I'll just focus on my academics and forget any extracurricular involvement. But then I had a thought. Did Oprah give up when she was told she wasn't good enough for television? Did Walt Disney stop inventing when his ideas were continuously shut down? A wise teacher once told me that these people I just mentioned are not merely the exception. We all have the power to be that exception, to do the things we want to do in our lives and not let our excuses hold us back. What might have seemed like a huge failure in that moment turned out to be one of my greatest accomplishments. I faced real disappointment for the first time and understood that it is these moments that make us stronger if we reflect on them, learn, and grow. I spent the rest of my time at Binghamton exploring the endless opportunities, stepping out of my comfort zone, something I might have not done if I won president. I joined the dean's team, volunteered at the Career Center, got a job at the Graduate School of Education, and even pushed myself to work in Washington, D.C. for the summer. Yet with all these experiences, the question reoccurs, what should I do? And where should I go? And now I finally have my answer. Not only does it not matter as I thought before, But I know what I should do and where I should go. I should do what excites me. And I should go where I feel I am making a difference, my skills are being utilized, and I'm surrounded by people and a culture that's motivating and uplifting. I now understand I don't need to know that one occupation that we so many times search for. All I need to know is myself. I know my talents, my passions, and my strengths. I know where I feel valued and where I feel loved. As graduates, we are entering a workforce that is growing and developing in ways the world has never seen. And although you might think you know that exact path that awaits you, it may only lead to disappointments. A topic surrounding college student today is leadership. We are all told that we have leadership potential and that we can be trained as leaders. When I ran for president, I thought leadership meant holding a position. But after I lost that election, I understood that it was so much more. I started talking to my colleagues about my leadership coursework and mentorship to anyone who would listen. Until one day a friend said to me, "I'm not a leader. Sure, you may be. I do well, but no one looks at me to lead. What does it mean to be a leader?" And although I had my doubts about this, it made me think, what does it mean to be a leader, and why all of the talk about it at universities and workplaces? There's a quote by John Quincy Adams that I write down in every new notebook that I open. He says, "If your actions inspire others to dream more, learn more, do more, and become more, you are a leader." So to the friend who denied his ability to lead, and to all of the guests and graduates before me, you all have the potential to set that bar high and to lead by a positive example. My challenge to each and every one of you is to reflect. Look inside and understand who you are. What makes you unique, and what makes you feel fulfilled? If you do this, you will always find opportunities for growth, and you will find your happiness. We can all teach those around us, and we can learn from one another. We can continue to be students for the rest of our lives, but we can also be teachers and mentors. So teach what you know, learn what you don't, and remember, the only real answer to what you want to be is you. Thank you so much, and congratulations to the class of 2017.
Thank you, Diana, for those remarks. At this time, we will recognize the accomplishments of our baccalaureate degree candidates. Dean Deeg, please come forward for the presentation of our baccalaureate degree candidates for the Harper College of Arts and Sciences.
We will now recognize the accomplishments of our baccalaureate degree candidates. First, we will recognize students who have achieved Latin honors. We recognize 3 levels of achievement: cum laude, magna cum laude, and summa cum laude. The names of the candidates for these honors appear in the commencement program. Almost 600 Harper College students are candidates for Latin honors, so we will not announce each by name. But we shall recognize students attending today by having them stand in place. So, candidates graduating cum laude, please rise. You may be seated. Candidates graduating magna cum laude, please rise. You may be seated. And candidates graduating summa cum laude, please rise. You may be seated. My congratulations to all of you on your outstanding academic achievements. But these are not the only achievements that we like to honor. These Latin honors are based solely on a student's cumulative grade point average. Students who have earned the distinction of departmental honors or distinguished independent work have achieved academic excellence and been recognized by the faculty in their major department. We have many of these students as well. Would the students who have received departmental honors or distinguished independent work please rise? Excellent. You may be seated. Will all baccalaureate degree candidates now please rise? Here we go, people. Are you ready? President Stenger, as the Dean of Harper College, I am pleased to present you these candidates who have fulfilled all their baccalaureate degree requirements as prescribed by the faculty. Professor Robert Guay, please join the President and me in greeting the degree candidates from the Department of Philosophy. Student Marshal Kayla Jack and School Marshal Celia Klin, please lead the candidates to the platform so that all may receive recognition for their academic achievement.
Kayla Jack. Molly Teitelbaum. Jonathan Harris Christophoratos. James Philip Anatra. Jad Boutros Haddad. Thank you, Professor. Will Professor James Burns from the Music Department please come forward to welcome your majors? Callie Seigert. Karima Nadja Jibril. Natasha B. Tulukdar. Alan F. Tai. Isabel Marie Pometier. Kelly A. McCormick. Carla Jordan Wirschbach. Michelle W. Lee. Alexander C. Castonguay. Thank you, Professor. Would Professor Dora Polachek please join us to recognize the candidates from Romance Languages? Paige G. Gindi. Nicole Sarita Kumar. Rosa Maria Taveras. Nicole Josephine Bruno. Juliana K. Pereira. Christina Nava Wilson. Carly Savannah Strong. Martha Rose Engel. Kayleen Harvey. Rachel R. Nader. Kyle P. Welch. Megan E. Santa Croce. Dominique Noel Filiberti. Tara T. Denning. Morgan Page Thau. Lauren Marie Bennett. Thank you, Professor. Would Professor Ann Brady from the Theater Department please join us to recognize your candidates? Nicholas R. Cuccaro. Jeff Dana Tagliaferro. Daniel Marie Nigro. Matthew T. Peterson. Matthew L. Vigard. Gabriel M. Goldman. Ryan Daniel Faziola. Kaylee Eliana White. Alexandra Marie Sieb. Eric L. Berger. Marissa S. Bordowitz. Vladislava Pahomonova. Hronis Arelas. Brian C. Jordana P. Braverman. Lisette N. Dufour. Thank you, Professor. Would Professor Bruce White from the Physics Department please join us to recognize your candidates? Gregory L. Rovinger. Charles Michael Hyam. Francesco N. Napoli. Andrew T. Repieco. Jake K. Andrews. Andre Leong. Vincent Mark Plisson. Eric Austin Haberly. Theodore J. Kruk. Gregory M. Hall. Min Kyung Kim. Noan Hiltzik. Daniel Peter Mann Carolyn. Chenlin Wong. Waiga Ho. James N. Flournoy. Sean William Gallagher. Carly M. Van Opdorp. Abirami Guruparan. Zainab Nasreen Gilani. Connor J. Tierney. Stephen J. Molaro. Thank you, Professor. Would Professor Gladys Jimenez Munoz from Sociology please join us to recognize your majors? Connor J. Stillwell. Justin Ian Garrell. Wei Zhang. Victoria Elizabeth Revine. Daniel Craig Koenig. Madison Avati. Morgan McLean Borjakowski. Daniel Bell. Callie Barrett Bullis. Hannah Jane Edelman. Jacqueline Donnarumma. Yulitza Picardo. Melanie Marangolo. Shunjun Lee. Jacqueline M. Chan. Ayumi Burstein. Kathy Tejada. Valerie Elizabeth Williams. Luke S. Pearson. Laila Amin. Mavis O. Johnson. Brandon Christopher Gates. Christian O. Idanitson. Rosieva Ashong Katai. Kellen M. Boldias. Chere Castro. Jordan Milford White. Ebony J. Williams. Onyx Cynthia Ramirez. Tiffany J. Trail. Whitney K. Seabrooks. Ngoza Furtado. Hannah Lark Pollock. Jessica Ray Dunn. Mary Alice Lister. Tevin Morgan. Christopher David Rodriguez. Mark Fenes Pena. Harold Volquez. Ryan G. Cerrone. Ian M. Linder. Jake Michael Schwabinger. Lenny Herrera. Wendy Chen. Elizabeth Abisola Kunrun. Nicole Teso Riero. Colin J. Cook. Samantha P. Halpern. Andrew McLean. Christina M. Quinn. Thank you, Professor. Would Professor Anthony Reeves please join us to recognize the candidates from Philosophy, Politics, and Law? Yep. Matthew Ferreon. Michael Beckwith. Jonah Ben Heckelman. Mark J. Lobiando. Bradley S. Horowitz. Joshua Aaron Sykoff. Laura Ashley Isaacson. Hannah Miriam Usman. Jamie B. Radhakisson. Ariel Y. Kraus. Jennifer A. Strotsu. Margaret Elizabeth Steele. Claire Austin Esmond. Megan Ashley Carnes. Parker Morgan O'Neill. James J. Bartholomew. Stephen Arthur Mora. Lucas L. Daub. Negan S. Hagnazari. Jerry Kuzlinski. Paul Hart. Daniel Farrell. Tyler Anthony Hendricks. Oliver A. Ux. Michael Franklin Katowski. Brian Antonio Almodovar. Jeremy A. Guarino. Rachel M. Di Benedetto. Sarah Kirschy. Michaela Sophia Siegel. Samantha Ashley Levine. Maria Mantilla. Thor Holm. Andrew Jackson. Zachary R. Naska. Jacqueline A. Schultz. Lauren Kayla Young. Elizabeth Ann Manley. Alexandra Nicole Kenny. Michelle Schaffler. Kayla Lewis. Kira Lewis Hutchinson. Karen Lee. Carrie Hay. Monique Ogene Abula. Alicia Marie Brimon. David Fitzgerald Nowie. Jason Harris Ziegler. Jonathan Evan Tobin. Mauricio Morales. Wei Xiao. Robert Bruce Hawkins III. William Alexander Tenorio. Mark Tarasi. Robert Scott Person. Emily Ann Carty. Jacqueline E. Primack. Sam Andrew Massenkyle. Connor J. Mulry. Alexandra Adamska. Raquel Kalantarova. Gregory P. Gatanis. Brittany DePaulo. Sam Mackenzie Clark. Reed Gurkan. Benta Abdul Matin. Maria Jose Leira. Bailey Rain Thomas. Natasha Singh. Thank you, Professor. Would Professor Xingyi Chao please join us to recognize the mathematics majors? Yu Ju. Ryan Patrick O'Connor. Ken Liang Yang. Matthew Bowen. Rachel P. Wang. Ryan Leong. Tin Wan Win. Jason Lin. James M. Mitchie. Troy Daniel Whittemore. Aaron Levy Chernin. Eliel Doron. Benjamin Z. Breben. Li Liang. Yilie Pan. Kun Hua. Justin Reed Fenner. Fang Xu. Jianjin Huan. Chu Fan Chen. Shida Zhu. Zishuan Su. Yuanqi Li. Yang Chen. Rebecca Jin. Kelly H. Chen. Yujun Kim. Danny Max Kim. Kaylin E. Citarelli, Rella. Eric M. Esposito. John Matthew Montesano. Rachel Elizabeth Kiesling. Catherine C. Tashman. Shujing Kri. Kenny Mu. Yuqing Zheng. Han Yul Jung. Xin Yi Kim. Mi Jung Sun. Allison J. Geismar. Jordan Kyle Roeder. Seth Hulbert. Mikhail Kamarakhanov. Simon Chan. Adrian Chang. Mitchell D. Glickman. Logan Antonio Rivera. Lindsay Gilmore. Zachary John Schmidt. Lauren T. Mead. Rachel Friedman. Ivy A. Greenbaum. Ailish Malone. James Kruk. Joriel Simister. Marissa Ann Evans. Jenna Masucci. Billy Rothberg. Dalton Zachary Pawlicek. James Budd. Glendalee Green. Sungyun Kim. Courtney B. Edwards. Olubokolo Folashade Kyoto. Winifred Pimentel. Aiden M. Maimoni. Ashley Verbois. Taylor Page Morgan. Mariah C. Del Duco. Stephen Y. Huang. Kathleen Ewing Pham. Taukir Aziz. Haoshin Lee. William Scott Campbell. Nathaniel John Cutler. Rachel E. Willison. Stephanie Lynn Solomon. Elizabeth Ann Saturnino. Angela Alexander. Carmen Liu. Natalie Huang. Ian P. Waycamp. Ming Liang Wang. Jake B. Sherman. Zachary A. Kurtz. Emmanuel Kamali. Thank you, Professor. Would Professor David Clark from the Department of Political Science please join us to welcome your majors? Brett D. Cantor. Joshua Mark Benaroya. Nicholas Ferrara. Lisa Polanco. Oliver Shapir. Andrea Eckhor. Tara E. Edelson. Alexander James Freivogel. Mire Pak. Ye Yun Cho. Adam Samuel Felber. Daniel B. Klinger. Stephen Andrew Lazikis. Alyssa N. Garufi. Natalie Alexandra Wynn Vanderlaan Mering. Megan Joyce Sexton. Robert J. Boza. Lu Zi Liu. Matthew Leon Darilli. Abigail Lucy Mulligan. Andrew J. Damiani. Lucy U. Murray. Samuel Wyeth Boyd. Jaewon Han. Gregory DeAugustin. Zachary Litwack. Ari Joshua Sheps. Anne Bethany Conmi. Justin Dominique Santa Barbara. Brendan D. Hargaden. Julia Ann White. John Sue Elida Zor. Ioana Pathanis. Lindsay Ann Cox. Kaylin M. Hernandez. Ryan Michael Moore. Waliur Rahman. Kenina Nga Yu Ip. Allison Rose Ann Jeffrey. Sarah Ann Haley. Aziza Anuli Hawthorne. Kimberly L. Santiago. Thomas F. Orlando. Brooklyn A. Montgomery. Brian Cox. Alan Gendelman. Jose Solis Gomez Espinal. Benjamin M. Brenner. Alexander Maxwell Himowitz. Lorena Salmira Garcia. Alexandra Simone Penfield. Giovanna Mia Bernardo. Megan Catherine Ann Burney. Haider Mustehsan. Chandra Marie Hewitt. Michael Julian Strack. Shauna P. Thomas. Jason D. Flatt. Yinying Zhong. Sean D. Collins. Miriam Aliza Nachama Chesler. Philip Yaron Roth. Alec Alsafrum. Joseph A. Esposito. Cheyenne Shah Khan. Bradley Jordan Toran. Pamela G. Dodge. Linda Renee Miranda. Darren Jared Gillenwater Jr. Lincoln John Messina. Albert D. Rojas de Jesus. Paul T. McHugh. Ariana Amanda Medina. Philip K. Petty. Alexander J. Morales. Andrew J. Heller. Okay. Ryan Eagle. Nazir Ahmed. Jorge Enrique Romero. Claudia Suchet. Kayla Ray DeMatos. Justin M. Zaretsky. Daniela Castillo. Natasha Malik. Brandon DeFulvio. Rachel Ritzer. David Henry Zatico. Benjamin Joseph Altman. Jasmine Samuels. Christian Ariel Vega. Oyendamola Aishat Lawal. Claudia Tanisha Wright. Takahiro Shimamura. Kadis Moyoka Thomas. Toiva Movoshev. Alana Gladstein. Catherine Denicola. Hunter Rosenblum. Brandon Joseph Berletti. Brian S. Rader. Thank you, Professor. Would Professor Matthew Johnson please join us to recognize the candidates from the Department of Psychology? Stephen Kenneth Ferry. Deanna Barretts. Rihanna Tuaden. Kristen Mendoza. Allison R. Tuma. Dimitri E. Napoleon. Rena Ben Ezra. Maya Ruth Applebaum. Tanya R. Munson. Christine Margot Kearns. Tyler Scott Rock. Shina R. Lusterman. Shalina Cordero. Andres Kwan. Ethan Abrashamian. Paul R. Stenson. Anna Stanislus. Linda Abid. Stephanie Uwadi. Jared Joseph Antico. Jessica Belkin. Alexi A. Hinkleman. Sean Lastig. Brooke H. Hirschfeld. Sarah Rebecca Cohen. Heidi Joy Germany Wald. Lauren A. Holt. Jennifer L. Almy. Kareem Wilson. Alan S. Babitsky. Sarah Phillips. Rebecca B. Feynman. James J. Ahern. Michael James Montano. Rekyat Olabisi Salam. Aisha Ali. Christian Andreas Angelo. Bethany Claire Brown. Bridget Renee Hunt. Christy L. Eichner. John Shea. Bettina L. Hughes. Gabriella Stanton. Phoebe Rose Burns. Kelly Nicole Paris. Jenna V. Martiscello. Ayal Shaya Goldberg. Darren Joffe. Christina Ann Holzhauer. Chanel Tashai Griffiths. Jacqueline A. Avila. Gabrielle Ann Cruz. Julianne Soriano. Theodore Connolly. Jennifer Kathleen Mora. Maggie Mae Parker. Melanie Jean Sharif. Irene Cristoforo. Marianthi Leotis. Andrea M. Taylor. Caitlin R. Crine. Alyssa Lee Tierney. Lindsay Hall Odell. Janet Amefa Nelson. Jahan Karima Bint Rivers. Peony Chung. Gina Richards. Tenzin Yeshi. Ashley M. Lopez. Douglas Murray. Alex Vincent Karras. Sayed Udin. Wen Oyoung. Robert Joseph DeMoro. Matthew Lee Spector. Jillian Grace Aragon. Dana Ann Galizia. Elise Harrison. Zoe Elizabeth Matson. Jess Gusky. Jennifer L. Millspaw. Alec Gerard Goodman. Rosanna Ng Chang. Angela M. Larios. Ashley Lynn Ballard. Philip Ernest Carnavale. Is that Ernest? You, Ernest? Go. Rachel Ashley Fisher. Kayla Danielle Axelrod. Nicole Eve Motto. Lindsay Brooke Keschner. David J. Yoon. Ariel Sivan Katz. Andrew S. Weintraub. Melanie Beth Candelario. Ruthie Freilich. Stephanie Joy Seufer. Monica Rose Berman. Rachel Alfasi. Danielle J. Belpidio. Alana J. Heyman. Anna Nicole Shore. Stephen J. Dest. Gabe Molerba. Sophia Crimmins Villela. Stephanie Herlihy. Cassandra Jenna Kurgel. Kelsey Nicole Uritia. Janelle Kayla R. Laguyo. Jill N. Balana Gonzalez. Natalie Chin. Zarina Arikaya. Amanda Fernandez. Renee Dominique Rochester. Juliana Maurice Miller. Ruby C. Silverstein. Quadwo Robbie. Gloria Ata Asumadu. Christian R. Pereda. Devin Solar. Danielle Petrie. Natalie S. Emmerich. Chelsea Nedum Thurututhil. Joyita Sil. Veronica Rose Falzone. Alejandra M. Sanchez. Allison H. Desho. Jessica R.G. Wolf. Jacqueline Rice. Allison Mack. Adam J. Greenberg. Ilana B. Winter. Emily Jean Berkowitz. Alexa Ann LaPalme. Michaela Ann Dunham. Stephanie Rose Gemelli. Maria Gabriela Fernandez. Ellie R. Moroshuk. Alex Eagle. Whitney M. Davis. Hannah E. Robbins. Hannah Rose Simmons. Daria Slaby. Victoria Marie Weiser. Ashley Michelle Alvarez. Rachel Marie Caballero. Timothy A. Hillis. Samantha Jean Maher. Claire F. Mulpeter. Emily Christine Thomas. Emma Jean Curran. Melissa Marie Esposito. Jessica Delia. Jacqueline M. Crunden. John J. Alkins. Callan McKay Williams. Megan Catherine Feminella. Liam J. Cashin. Yosef Y. Yakov. Mary Carmen Tellis. Devin A. Rearer. Emily L. Martino. Nicholas D. Salerno. Danielle N. Pricer. Bijan Roberto Kashani. Lauren Levy. Jacqueline Nicole Rostein. Emma Stern. Kristen Marie Soder. Taylor Rose Amato. Pamela Bradford Ficker. Ian T. Goodman. Alia A. Burton. Abigail Zaitchik. Nicole Kristen Giambrone. Jacqueline DeRitter. Alexis C. Lashley. Anna C. Cronin. Erica Lynn Pagione. Rebecca Lynn Schwartz. Stephen Anthony Searles. Connor W. Fennell. Sarah A. Elliott. Nilda Judith Rivera Figueroa. Gina L. Sisti. Zachary P. Silverman. Jack Bird. Andres Castilla. Amanda V. Cantanzaro. Austin Agapito Hernandez. Shannon Marie Houghton. Dennis A. Donovan. Justin Fields. Nicole Alexandria Pagano. Marielle Page Kaplan Newman. Mackenzie Lee Holmes. Julian Jung. Lori Marie Dupnak. Carrie Elizabeth Heller. Maria Platis. Gabriela Pedrero Davila. Amanda J. Frenno. David Javier Montes. Giarui Lee. Magdalena Espinosa. Joanne Sosa. Cara Saborito. Matthew Tito de Urso. Caitlin Whalen. Ariel R. Marantz. Melanie Kachadurian. James Michael Macchia. Gabrielle Grace Pulo. Soo-Hyun Kim. Andrew Kim. Kevin McManus. Emma Lauren Kleinberg. Alexandra Gabrielle Stein. Iman M. Abdazahar. Sarah Beth Elkind. Ravi Srinivasan. Jordan Rosario. Jesslyn Rojas. Brianna Nicole Infante. Alan Frimpong. Akua Brianna Nketia. Amadou Lee. Adewanuola Adesanya. Medrick Adsong. Irfa Ghani Sikh. Christina Adelphi Figueroa. Alex Michael Verkatas. Amira Saria Willis. Lena Zheng. Wendy Ling. Yuri Kang. Shelley Chun. Darum Park. Hee-Won Kim. Is that it? Alex Yom. And Jane Kyung Chun.
Go ahead. Will all baccalaureate degree candidates please rise? President Stenger. President Stenger, I am honored to present you these candidates for the baccalaureate degree by the university.
For those who have successfully completed all degree requirements by the authority vested in me by the Chancellor and the Board of Trustees of the State University of New York and the Board of Regents of the University of the State of New York, I confer on each of you the appropriate baccalaureate degree with all the rights and privileges accompanying it. On behalf of the Binghamton University community, I congratulate you for this well-earned accomplishment. As is customary upon conferral of the baccalaureate degree, you may now move the tassel on your cap from the right to the left. Ladies and gentlemen, parents, partners, and friends, I present to you the Binghamton University Harper College of Arts and Sciences class of 2017.
Everyone, please rise. Gentlemen, please remove your hats as we sing the Binghamton University alma mater. We invite everyone to join in singing the refrain and the second verse. The lyrics may be found on the back cover of the commencement program.
In the rolling hills of Binghamton, 'neath their
The spring commencement proceedings of the State University of New York at Binghamton are now concluded. We kindly ask the audience to remain seated for the academic recessional. Once the academic recessional is completed, please exit as soon as you are able.